Explained by the Billy Meier Contacts. Mysteries, myths, legends, conspiracy theories, historical inaccuracies, and more. Compiled by David Chance, revised October 18, 2023.
Contactees specific true and false. See also alien. Abductions. See also alien-human hybrids. See also Ashtar. Shiran. See also contactees general. See also extraterrestrials general. See also extraterrestrials, Giza intelligences, the Baphoth. See also UFOs, the flying saucers. Ask its explanations Part 1.
1953. The list will be very long of those Earth humans who, already in the shortest period of time, will appear publicly to fraudulently and maliciously bring their fellow humans under their power by saying that they are in contact with beings of extraterrestrial origin. There will be many among them who will do this as a result of delusion or for religious and profit-driven reasons, while others will be partially steered by the malevolent life forms in the pyramid, Giza intelligences. Ascot's Explanations Part 2. 1953. Something important is still to be explained to you, namely, that the most varied swindlers in UFO matters will spread worldwide, and that you should never, of your own initiative, accuse them of fraud. Always refer to us in regard to the naming of the swindlers, because these statements stem from us and not from you. In spite of that, it will, however, be that you will be made responsible for the naming of the swindlers, and it will be said of you that you would accuse all contactees, and so forth, of lying. If I and others speak of swindlers, then we therefore do this in a responsible way, because we know the truth and many events of the future, and thus also have recognized, and invariably will recognize, the swindlers. And there will, unfortunately, be many of them, conscious as well as unconscious. But it is devious and false if later, from the year 1975, it is asserted that you or we would insult all contactees, and so forth, by calling them swindlers. That is truly not so, because there are actually very many contact people on the Earth, even if most of them only make visual contact or do not know about their contacts, which are in the form of impulses, or because of that they unconsciously wrap themselves in silence. Note, the below list of contactees is primarily based on persons named in the contact reports. There are some additional names listed, which are persons who claim to be in contact with Pleiadians and other such imaginary beings. An attempt to name all such persons would be painstakingly, time-consuming as well as pointless, since there unfortunately seems to be a steady appearance of new persons making such claims, along with their services and/or merchandise for sale. Important note regarding some of the contactees listed below.
Contact Report 563.
A certain Wilbert B. Smith was probably a contactee, but unfortunately one of the negative kind. His contact was only a one-time and absolutely meaningless contact, and furthermore, only a hypnotic direct contact with the group of the Ashtar Sharan, whereby the whole thing was, as already mentioned, effectively of an insignificant nature. As hypnotic direct contacts, we call those where the hypnosis is not performed independently by apparatuses, but directly by the human being, but where the hypnotic transmission of energy thanks to hypnosis over long distances is also performed by strong transmitting apparatuses. So Smith, like many other contact persons, was in contact under hypnosis with post-hypnotic aspect, and he did not act consciously and not of his own free will, as it was common practice in the Ashtar Sharan group to keep the contact persons are absolutely under control. And this was the case with all the numerous contacts who were abused by the Ashtar Sharan group. Such contacts with Earth humans were very often the case through the Ashtar Shiran group, whereby this group simply impulsively influenced Earth humans to make them willing tools for their dark machinations on Earth. These influencers were in great numbers, but none of the human beings ever had any idea what the actual reality of the contacts was and how they took place. In fact, they never had any real physical contact, but always only hypnotic impulsive contact, with real visions also being part of the whole, so that many of those contacts, who were abusively manipulated by the Ashtar-Sharan group, were convinced that they had real contact with extraterrestrials. So they were not aware that they had no real encounters with the aliens in this sense, and consequently they also had not flown in their flying apparatus, because in fact they were only pretended to have had real hypnotic visions. Through this hypnotic real vision illusion, the contactees were misled in such a way that they actually believed that they had real contacts with extraterrestrials and had flown with their flying apparatus. So they were no longer able to distinguish reality from the hypnotic illusion and lived or still live in the implanted delusion that their contacts were real. A further fact was that these contactees were hypnotically and suggestively given false data about the origin of the Ashtar-Sharan group. Thus, practically all these contactees were reminded of different places of origin. But all these facts were unknown to us at the time when we gave you the list of these contactees, because at that time we only analyzed the memories of the people concerned. Note: a reference to a list given during Contact 43. These were, however, so profoundly, hypnotically, and suggestively manipulated that we were deceived by them and therefore did not recognize the memory manipulation. We only found out the real facts 3 weeks ago with better technical possibilities, which we now have at our disposal and which we have now used for the first time. In recent years, we have noticed things that seemed strange to us in various such contactees, which is why we use the new equipment and devices to reanalyze the memory impulses of all still living contact persons and were able to penetrate their hypnotic blockade. It must be said, however, that the persons forced into contact in this way are left with no conscious knowledge of their own, but only the post-hypnotic memory, which shortly after the manipulation became so strong that it could not be reversed. And this applies without exception to all those many Earth humans whom we have named individually or in lists as contact persons, and who without exception have been forcibly manipulated in a hypnotic suggestive revisionary way by the Ashtar-Sharan group. In all cases, however, the impulses were such that the recipients of the impulses had false visions and thought that they had experienced contact, which is why they took notes, wrote books, and also made public statements. Important note regarding some of the contactees listed below.
Contact Report 565.
So many observations, things, and strange occurrences can be traced back not only to the former Ashtar-Sharan group, but also to these 4 groups?
It was never mentioned, but only that many events and occurrences could be attributed to this Sharan group, from the hypnotic forced contacts to all kinds of unpleasant happenings and strange occurrences.
What interests me now? During the first time of our contacts, your daughter Simya-se talked a lot about the fact that various extraterrestrials come and go on Earth and that they would also have contacts with Earth humans. How should this be understood now that you found out about the Ashtar-Sharan group and were able to clarify the whole thing? Must Simya-se's explanations now be connected with this?
That is indeed the case, yes, in every single relation of the names she told you, which according to our latest investigations were connected with the Ashtar-Sharan group. These statements of my daughter are of course not connected with those telepathic impulse contacts which we had with Earth humans without their knowledge, nor with those which, intentionally or unintentionally, were made by us with Earth humans, such as the contact of my daughter Simya, say, with a German named Elsa Schroeder in Persia, near Zahedan, and with Petra and Anatole. Then the contact that took place in Bolivia, South America, with an extraterrestrial group from a space and time displaced area of Proxima Centauri between an Athar and Kohun, and a man of German descent. And there may also have been contacts of various kinds between Earth humans and the four groups unknown to us, but we have no clear evidence of this, at least not to date. And what my daughter explained at that time when she talked about contacts with extraterrestrials mostly referred to the activities of the Ashtar-Sharon group. But under certain circumstances, also incidents with the unknown groups could have been included. But we have not been able to clarify this until today.
Contact Report 567.
Accordingly, from the beginning, you also could not penetrate into the deeper consciousness, nor into the memory of those earthlings who you previously designated as contact people. So you did not find the actual truth, being that the human beings of the earth, who you designated as genuine contactees, were nothing more than those manipulated by the Ashtar-Sharon group's hypnotic suggestion and real vision, and so forth, who had no conscious and genuine memories of alleged personal contacts and experiences with extraterrestrials, rather only suggested false memories.